welcome to the Raising Killin podcast. My name is Marsh Naidu and I blog at raisingkillin.org, where we curate resources for parents raising children with disabilities. On today's episode 130, I chat with Tommie Lee Gray III, a professional wheelchair basketball player, about an upcoming basketball clinic to be held in Charleston, South Carolina on January the 11th, 2025. This episode is brought to you by Teddy Therapy Services, your online physical therapy provider. As always, remember the content provided on this podcast is for your information only. And if you seek advice for your specific situation, to contact a trained professional. So grab that cup of coffee, put your feet up, and get ready for some awesome conversation. Today, I am joined by Tommie Gray. Tommie, welcome to the Raising Killin podcast.
Thank you very much for having me at the Raising Killin podcast.
So listen, we have a dear friend in common, Dana Kramer, and Dana's son, Levi, is an avid wheelchair basketball player. And Levi plays with Blaze Sports America. Tommie, just really wanting to know about a little bit about you, if you don't mind heading into that first, and then the basketball clinic that you guys have coming up in South Carolina.
Hi, guys. My name's Tommie Gray. I'm from Georgia, the birthplace of the Georgia Blazers, or Blaze Sports America. It started in Georgia in 1996, around the time that the Olympics were in Atlanta. So as a part of that, when it got started, me personally, I've grown up playing sports for a long time. When I was a kid, my mom started me in able-bodied sports. So I was like 5 or 6 and I started swimming. I was 7 and I did able-bodied wrestling. And in high school, I did able-bodied football. And a lot of the things that were going right for me was I was gaining that experience and I was using my muscles and I was learning to communicate and socialize with people. But I was getting really frustrated at the fact that I wouldn't win. I would swim against able-bodied kids and they would jump off the diving block and there's just no way to catch up with someone who had that much of an advantage. I played football on an American football team and yeah, that wasn't a really great thing for me to do. It was wonderful. My coaches were wonderful. The team and the experience was wonderful, but to be competitive in that sport wasn't something for me. And so I changed prosthetist and I went to CHOA, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. And my prosthetist said, hey, you should play wheelchair basketball. And they hooked me up with some guys and they got me a chair and I started playing wheelchair basketball. We had a local, not really local, statewide organization, ASP. They're like a high school. They're actually funded and associated with the GHSA, the Georgia High School Sports Association. And so when I was a kid, I got to play for a statewide program that let me play against all the other kids in the state. And Blaze Sports America was more of a national program that took me as a kid to, like, I went to Las Vegas when I was like 15 and played against other teams from Chicago and stuff like that. I met college recruiters from other states when I played for Blaze a lot, but I practiced a lot more with ASK because it was more team centric and we didn't have to go so far to play games. And so growing up, I just played a lot of sports. I played basketball for those two organizations and all the other sports we just named, and then a lot of wheelchair adaptive sports. I did tennis, track, swimming, adaptive swimming, since I already did regular swimming. Yeah, everything, pretty much. Hockey, I've done it. Fast forward, I graduated in 2005. I went to Edinburgh University of Pennsylvania, now known as Penn West University. And I played basketball there for 5 years. And in 2009, my fourth year, I made Team USA. I won a world championship with the under 23 team. And then for the men's national team, I finished second. Like my only national team experience right now. Hopefully we get like 1 or 2 more before we stop playing. And when we won the under 23 world championship, a team in France asked would I like to continue to play basketball professionally. And I said, yeah, of course, no. And they gave me a apartment in France. They let me come stay there. I played in France for like the first 5 years of my professional basketball career. Then I went to Germany for like 4 or 5 years. And then I went to Italy for 2 years, then back to Germany for a year, then back to Italy, then back to Germany. And then next year I'm going to Greece. So I just play basketball, which is my primary focus, or my primary source of income right now. And so doing a clinic and helping coach kids, doing the thing that I've been taught to do and that I do is one of the things that I really look forward to doing and helping out with.
I think you've already so aptly put into words like what influence has sport, how that has molded you and shaped you as a person. And I think you've already alluded to that by the virtue of you playing basketball professionally and that being your source of income as well. When you started earlier on, you got a wheelchair. Now, how was that wheelchair different, Tommie? Because do you think that potentially that could be a barrier for some kids that might want to play basketball but just have a regular wheelchair? I mean, how does that work?
Okay, I do think that can be a big barrier. There's a difference between everyday wheelchairs and wheelchairs that you use for sport. This is key kind of basic and not like in kind of general and broad because like each sport has a specific different thing to their chair that makes that chair better for the sport. Like a tennis chair is slightly different from a basketball chair, but an everyday chair is completely different from a sports chair. Sports chairs will usually have cambered wheels. They'll be kind of slanted, and that'll give you more stability. And since there's actually less wheel touching the ground, they usually turn a little bit faster. And so you'll have the cambered wheels, and then sports chairs will also have an anti-tip wheel or two anti-tip wheels in the back, so you can't go over backwards. Tennis chairs usually have one wheel in the front and tip bars in the back. Basketball chairs usually have two little wheels in the front and two wheels in the back and make six wheels. So those are like the minor differences between the sport chairs type deals. But most sports chairs will have the cambered out wheels and they will have an anti-tip bar because you don't want someone to go hard and doink their head. The difference, equipment, like all sports, like if you play baseball or you play field hockey, equipment is important and it's probably pricey. Wheelchairs do get pretty pricey. Eagles sports chairs with Barry Ewing, like he's awesome. He'll work with you for your chair and he does adjustable chairs so you can get one for a kid and they can grow up and you can adjust the chair so the chair grows with them. He's sweet for that. And then if you need like to get a chair and you don't have the funds for that chair, the Challenged Athletes Fund is probably like the best thing in the world that I've ever heard or been a part of, like been helped by. You gotta do some paperwork. If you're a kid, it's awesome because your parents usually do all the paperwork and you just get the benefit. But you do the paperwork, you turn in the application, and based off of your need and the amount of experience or how high the goal you set for yourself, they'll determine out how much cash they'll give you and they'll grant you some cash and they'll pay for chairs, they'll pay for all athletic equipment and not even equipment. Like they give out grants for travel and things like that. You have to read the fine things to see what they give out. So I don't want to say something that's wrong, but they don't just do equipment. They will help out athletes. And that's the Challenged Athletes Fund. And they're great. They've been so solid. And you can also look up other individual grants to help you get a wheelchair and other equipment. We're talking about basketball. So if I keep referring to wheelchairs, it's because we're talking mainly basketball. But yeah, you can apply for some grants. And a lot of the companies that make wheelchairs for sports now, they're alums of the universities. They play these sports and they're really nice people. They're awesome people. They'll help you out. Perform Aston Willie will definitely help you out. He's super awesome. And he was at UTA. He's a graduate at UTA. If you want top end, Paul Schultes, right in Florida. I think, wow, he might have went to UTA too. All the UTA guys are making the chairs for you. But like they're former athletes and they've gone through those hardships and they know what it takes and what you need to like perform better. They're great athletes that are going through those hardships. and they help people out. They're really nice. They talk to people. They gave me tips. They've done everything that I've ever asked. They've only told me no when I made ridiculous requests, and they're awesome. So if you can find a chair that you like the most, and you will, talk to that chair company, and they'll help you find a way to finance that chair. They'll help you. They'll get you right. They'll tell you about the Challenged Athletes Fund, or they'll say that there's a grant in your state. They're really knowledgeable people that have gone through the same situation that you've gone through, and all you gotta do is ask for some help, and you'll get it. So that's it for the equipment. Chairs are expensive though sometimes.
Tommie, so what's the deal now with South Carolina and you guys holding a basketball clinic there? How did that come about?
So the thing about wheelchair basketball is that it's super popular, but in America's just so big. So you can have a team in Charleston and they have to play someone, but the next closest team is like Raleigh or somewhere. So now you have to drive 4 or 5 hours to play a game, and it's not economical. There is a population in this area, right in South Carolina, and really close to Myrtle Beach over here. And we just want to start another team up that can play against the Clemson team that's down here already, because there's a Clemson team already. There's a team in Tennessee. There's a team in North Carolina, I just mentioned, in Raleigh. And the way that wheelchair basketball works is we usually do in America, we usually set up a tournament for like the weekend, and you play 4 or 5 games. That way you don't have to go to North Carolina one week, South Carolina next week, and you play against those teams, and you only meet like once a month. So you'll play your 4 games once a month. It's pretty much the equivalent to having 1 game every Saturday. But you'll do it Friday through Sunday. Play 2 games Friday, 2 games on Saturday, 1 game on Sunday if your team has a lot of people. So we're just trying to add another team in the area to make the travel less for everyone else, and to also bring in some more people who haven't had the opportunity to play the sport, who want the opportunity to play the sport, and just to be aware that this sport is available for everyone. And we're talking wheelchair basketball now, but getting involved in the community opens so many doors that you'll learn about other sports. Like, you might not be a basketball fan. You might just want to meet someone new, and you turn out to be a hockey fan. And so now you come here for the basketball, but you left with a hockey contact. Your sister might run track, and you just want to spend quality time with your sister. You came for basketball, and you met Andrew, and Andrew told you about a track chair. So now you can run track with your sister. Your little brother wants to play with you, but he never gets to play with you. He comes to this clinic. We have extra wheelchairs. He sits down in a wheelchair. He shoots with you. He plays with you. He's a part of your life. You interact on the same level for the first time. Those are things and moments that you can't replicate or get back. And those are some of the things that we're trying to do with the clinic. We're also trying to start a team here. So like, bring everyone. The flyer says at 5 to 17 with physical disabilities, but bring the family, bring everyone, because the community is awesome, and you're only as good as the structure and everyone around. So just because you don't have a disability, or someone in your house doesn't have a disability, if you see the flyer, come on out, represent, show up. Because also, like, the tragic, sad part is it does happen to random people all the time. So even if you don't know anyone now, you came to a camp and 2 years later, you met someone who's down in the dumps, and they're, man, I just wish I knew what to do. I can't do anything, because I was that kid that couldn't do anything. I was the kid that always lost every swimming match because the kid just jumped off the block. Or I was the kid who couldn't get on the field because I'm not fast enough to make the tackle. And so you see a kid like me, and you say, hey, no, you can play basketball and you'll be pretty good. And I turned out to be pretty good. And so it's hope. The awareness is hope. Hope, inclusion, all of the things that you need in the world to like just make it a better place. And that's what we're aiming for here. That's what we're aiming for, just to provide an opportunity for other people to get this experience, and for everyone to enjoy good times, good vibes.
So tell us more about the actual clinic itself, like as far as date, times, and any other relevant information, like locations for folks in South Carolina that want to travel to spend the day with you all.
Yeah, the clinic's going to be on the 11th of January. It's going to be in Charleston, South Carolina at the Charleston Baptist Church. It's going to go from from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. And the flyer is going to say from ages 5 to 17 with a physical disability, but really encouraging to bring out as many people who are interested in the sport or interested in meeting people who are interested in the sport. So even if you don't have a disability, come on out. If you want to support someone who does have a disability, definitely come on out and make sure the event is what it is.
Thank you so much, Tommie, for sharing the message. And I just wish you guys the best of success.
No problem. You too.
And have fun.
Definitely will. You too. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
You too. You take care. Bye-bye now, Tommie. As always, thank you for listening along on the podcast today. Remember that upcoming basketball clinic will be held on January the 11th, 2025 at the Charleston Baptist Church, Charleston, South Carolina, from 9 to 11 a.m. As always, we appreciate a rate and review of this podcast episode on your podcast player. And as always, remember, get to the top of your mountain. This is Marsh Naidu signing off.